Welcome to this explainer. Today we're doing something a little different. We're stepping right behind the counter to explore a world that, honestly, usually looks completely effortless to the guest. But behind the scenes, it's this highly sophisticated, super dynamic puzzle. We're talking about bar and beverage management. Think of this as your foundational masterclass, basically Chapter 1, Lesson 1. We're going to pull back the curtain on an industry that gets misunderstood all the time, revealing the really intricate systems and operations that make high-end hospitality function so smoothly. All right, let's dive right in. There's a quote I love that perfectly sets the stage for our journey today. It goes, "Every great bartender is first a student of hospitality." You see, there's this really common myth out there that bartending is literally just about pouring drinks, right? But before a professional ever even learns to mix a complex cocktail, they've got to understand the history, the culture, the science, and honestly, the immense responsibility behind every single beverage they serve. It is a true, rigorous discipline. To get a complete picture, we'll take a quick macro to micro journey through 5 key areas today. First, defining bar and beverage. Second, bars as social hubs. Third, a high-profit revenue center. Fourth, the scope of management. And finally, number 5, ambassadors of hospitality. So let's jump straight into our first topic. Section 1, defining bar and beverage. To really grasp this dynamic hospitality sector, we have to ask, what exactly are we talking about here? Well, the absolute keyword to remember here is systematic. Bar and beverage management is the systematic planning, organization, operation, supervision, and control of beverage-related activities. It's not just making drinks. It's a highly multidisciplinary field. It seamlessly integrates operational procedures with strict financial management, sanitation, and of course, customer service, all at the exact same time. According to foundational industry literature, effective management in this specific area is what actually achieves that perfect balance between ultimate guest satisfaction and organizational profitability. It's what ensures every single drink hits quality standards while actually positively contributing to the bottom line. And that brings us to the actual beverage itself. A beverage is officially defined as any liquid intended for human consumption that provides hydration, nourishment, refreshment, enjoyment, or social interaction. Just notice how incredibly broad that is. Before we even whisper the word alcohol, we are talking about everything from your morning coffee and medicinal teas right through to an evening cocktail. They all serve vital human needs across the board. Moving on to Section 2, bars as social hubs. Now that we've defined the management and the product, let's talk about where these beverages are actually enjoyed. Because a bar isn't just a room with some bottles on a shelf. A bar is a designated area within a hospitality establishment where alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages are prepared, mixed, and served by trained professionals. And whether the space operates totally independently on some busy city street, or it's nestled inside a luxury hotel, a massive cruise ship, a bustling casino, or even an airport lounge, it is always anchored by those trained beverage professionals. The traditional layman's view is often that a bar is just a simple place focused strictly on serving drinks. But the modern reality? It's completely different. Today's bars are highly sophisticated social spaces. They really emphasize unique themes, cutting-edge beverage innovation, and incredibly personalized service. They function as these vibrant places where people gather for relaxation, for celebration, business meetings, entertainment, you name it. It's evolved into an immersive guest experience, definitely not just a simple transaction anymore. Section 3, a high-profit revenue center. As fascinating as the whole social aspect is, we do have to shift our focus to the cold, hard financials for a minute. Because right behind all that glamour, the beverage division carries immense commercial value. In fact, in a lot of full-service hotels and restaurants, it's actually one of the absolute most profitable areas of the whole operation. Why? Because beverages generally yield much, much higher gross profit margins than food items do. But, and honestly, this is a huge but, that profitability is never automatic. No way. It requires really effective management to unlock benefits like proper pricing and cost control. It takes highly efficient inventory management to stop stock from just mysteriously disappearing. You need massively reduced product wastage and strict legal compliance. Without that careful planning and rigorous stock control, believe me, those high profit margins can literally vanish into thin air before you know it. Which brings us to Section 4, the scope of management. This leads us perfectly into the invisible, super complex operations required to make high-end service look so effortless. When we say scope of management, it is genuinely staggering. I mean, it goes far, far beyond just mixing up a quick cocktail. We're talking about the really complicated logistics of purchasing and receiving, meticulous inventory tracking, beverage costing, and something called menu engineering, which is actually the science of designing a menu specifically to maximize profits. Add all of that to strict sanitation and hygiene standards, constant staff training, mastering those complex digital point of sale systems, championing sustainability initiatives, and of course, navigating very strict health and liquor regulations. It's just an incredibly demanding operational puzzle, and managers have to solve it every single shift. Finally, Section 5, Ambassadors of Hospitality. With all of those intense, complex logistics fresh in our minds, let's warm up the narrative a bit and focus on the human element. Because when you really stop and think about it, who actually brings all of this complex management, this super tight financial control, and this warm hospitality together in real time, right in front of the customer?
Well, it's the beverage professional. In luxury resorts, event venues, and top-tier restaurants, beverage professionals are very often the very first and the very last employees to interact with a guest. And that really makes them true ambassadors of hospitality. A really knowledgeable bartender or barista can completely elevate an ordinary dining experience into something truly exceptional. And they do this by combining their intense technical expertise with genuine care, making personalized recommendations, and keeping up a professional, incredibly welcoming presentation.
Because at the end of the day, technical expertise means absolutely nothing without genuine hospitality. You could have the best inventory systems in the world, the highest profit margins, the most complex cutting-edge drink recipes. But if that human connection is missing, the whole experience just falls flat. Every perfectly mixed drink is ultimately just a vehicle for human connection. So the next time you sit down at a beautifully managed bar, I want you to ask yourself, are you just ordering a beverage, or are you actually participating in a centuries-old tradition of hospitality? It's definitely something to think about.